Welcome to Negro Please. I'm your host, Dallas Scott. Co-host, Hollywood Huff. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on, bro?
How's your week been?
Oh, it's been a tough one, but I'm here.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of stuff has been going down in life this week. Our producer, Quan, the 5'9", is here today. We know you love sports, Quan, so feel free to jump in here and give your opinion if you feel apt to do so.
Yes, sir. I can do that, Steve.
We try to be on.
He
So
knows.
the goal here on Negro Please is to bring a minority point of views to subjects and challenge views of common perspective. And we tried to bring a wide range of topics in today, in general, to the show. Today, because of what's happened this week in the United States, it's going to be a little slightly sports heavy because we have to start with Antonio Brown. He's the biggest story in news, right?
Yeah.
Like, when you're taking up more headlines than the dumb stuff that Donald Trump is saying, like, you are the biggest story in America, right?
We've forgotten about everything that's happening with politics, the president. There's actually an election coming up, and nobody cares.
There is?
Yeah.
Because everybody's worried about Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
It started with, when did it start? It started like 4 months ago,
Yeah.
right? Like it started with the frostbite on the feet.
I think that was the first headline was frostbite.
Yes. Then the helmet issue.
Right.
Okay. Frostbite, apparently this has actually happened to other people before. It's not, I'm from Minnesota, so I understand that frostbite can happen within minutes.
Right.
People who have never had frostbite don't understand that, like, this is something that can affect you very seriously, especially
Right.
and way below zero temperatures.
Right.
So being from Minnesota and knowing that, like, when it's 40 below zero, you have to have all your skin covered, within 3 minutes. I get all that. So I can't, it is what it is. However, you would think that the trainers and people who are involved in this would know that you can't sit your ass in the water or the cryo chamber, or whatever the hell it was,
Right.
for more than 3 minutes before you get frostbite.
Right.
But I get that one. The helmet, I don't get. He wanted to use a helmet that he's been using his entire life, and he apparently couldn't find another helmet. I just don't understand.
And that's the thing is, it feels like 4 months. It's actually only been like 5 weeks. Like it's literally been maybe 6 weeks, and all this stuff happened back to back to back to back. So literally, while we're talking about frostbite, he's writing letters. He wants to wear the helmet he's been wearing. And they're saying, nope, we got to be safer. We got to have better helmets. It's just like seat belts and car seats and everything else that has to do with safety. Every so many years, we have to update it. And if we have something better, old technology has to go. His old helmet couldn't work, but he had a grievance. On one hand, he's a wide receiver. This helmet fits a certain way. It gives him so much vision. He should be able to wear it. On the other hand, well, if you get hit, you're more likely to have a concussion in your old helmet. So these other ones are safer. So I can kind of see his grievance. On the other hand, you play a sport where you are going to, it's not a matter of if, but when you're going to take a shot to the head, even with all the new rules.
He's a wide receiver. He's going to take a shot to the head. I mean,
right.
Minimum 3 or 4 times a game.
Even if you get tackled and it's not helmet to helmet, when they wrap you up and take you down, your head could hit the ground. Right.
Your head could incidentally hit a knee of another defender coming on, or your own player.
Exactly.
We saw what happened to Vontaze Burgess a couple years ago.
Right.
In the Cleveland game or the Steelers game, where he actually hit his own player because they were both going to make a tackle.
Right.
Things
so
happen.
It's going to happen.
So you need to protect yourself. And the NFL has had enough lawsuits in the last few years that they need to make sure that you are protected as much as possible,
right,
per their safety codes and their experts. And they pay a lot of people a lot of money to go through and inspect helmets and say, yes, this is usable, and no, this is not usable. So I feel like this is just a stupid argument. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So,
it's like, if you're a firefighter and you've been using the same oxygen tank for years, and the state comes along and says that one's no longer safe, you got to use this oxygen tank, are you going to argue with them?
I mean, I'm not.
Right? I mean, like, are you just going to be like, yeah, you're right.
They're like, look, this one is better. It's safer. You know what I mean? It does X, Y, Z, and the old one didn't. I mean, it's not much room for argument. So, again, like, I get on one hand his point, but it sounds like, especially now in hindsight, like he's just kind of scratching at something. He's just looking for a reason to have an argument to cause a conflict somewhere, right?
Yep. So now he comes back.
So then he comes back.
And him and the GM, Mike Mayock. There's some people said he called him a cracker. Other players like that never came out of his mouth. So,
well, and this is the confusing part. He apologized for calling him a cracker, according to a report. And then he said, well, I never used the word cracker.
Right. And other players backed the statement up that, no, we never heard him say that.
Right.
So, again, who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows what to believe there?
I mean, and at the same time, if they got into a legit heated argument, people, especially like in organizations like that, who's the boss, who's the man, who's the top dog, those, you got a bunch of alpha males in the NFL. That's not just on the field, but even in your position, you're constantly fighting to keep your job. So I can imagine two guys get into an argument. They both don't want to budge. They're going to exchange some words. Whether or not he said cracker is kind of irrelevant.
Well, is it irrelevant? Because if Mike Mayock had said nigger, what would you say?
You know what? I think that's a good question.
2 different words.
Yeah.
Are they, though?
Very different.
That's
very.
That's my first thought is
cracker,
two different words.
cracker. If you get offended, you got issues.
Okay. So what's to me, cracker's worse than honky.
Okay.
So what's
the
white equivalent to nigger?
I don't think there's
one.
None.
0, not even close.
So here's the thing. I get the intention behind calling somebody a cracker, but the word cracker will not have the power of the N-word. Hence, I use the N-word, but I can say cracker.
If white people were oppressed by black people for hundreds of years and they were using the word cracker, then it would be powerful. But it didn't happen, so it's not that powerful. People that get offended at that are only getting offended because they want to get offended.
Well, that's just society now.
And
exactly.
I also look at it as it's an insult. Like if he just called him a punk, or if he, used any other like curse word and called him a name, the B word or whatever. You know what I mean? That's kind of where I put the word cracker. You know what I mean?
With the intent. What's the intent?
Right. With
behind
the intent,
that word. I'm going to get mad just because you're getting mad at me, but I'm not taking that like, man, I'm super offended. You're disrespecting my people for the last 400 years. You know what I'm saying?
Right. It's not, to me, it's not, I wouldn't call cracker a racial slur, because although it is a word that you would probably only call a white person.
Well, but
it doesn't.
We're kind of getting off subject here, but if a black person calls another black person a cracker, that's very offensive, right?
Ooh. In the sense of like calling them Uncle Tom, or a coon or something, that would be very offensive. I think so.
To me, being called a coon and Uncle Tom a cracker by a black person, is incredibly offensive.
I think in that sense, I think that it would be very offensive, and it may even be a double standard. Maybe it is. You know what I mean? Like I feel I understand the argument. You know what I'm saying? Like I get how, you know what, he called me a cracker. But at the same time,
this is a Huffism. We'll talk more about Huffisms later. This is a Huffism.
Yeah, we can come back to this word later. But so I get it. But at the same time, like that's not the topic. I'm more of, okay, he insulted you is what you're saying.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's just how I take it. Whereas if
he hurt your pride and your manhood.
If he would have called him the N-word, then I would have been like, wait a minute, bro. Like, how long you been waiting to use that one? Right. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like that's a different. The two words, granted, both are meant to be used as insults. One holds more power than the other. So right.
And this is we've talked about this before, and we're gonna do a whole show on the word nigger, because to me, we as black people give too much power to the word nigger. Like, we allow it. Remember a couple months ago when there was this thing about the little OK sign being like a white power sign?
Right.
You can take that back. All we got to do is get every black person in America to do a selfie with that symbol. It means absolutely nothing anymore. Right. At that point, we've taken back what you want to oppress us with, right?
Right.
We've taken it, we've made it our own. Haha. Just like we've done everything else in life.
Right.
Now you can try and steal it from us and copy it again if you would like to, because that's the way it's just been, right?
Right.
So at some point we have to take the power out of that word.
Yeah.
But But back to the Antonio Brown thing. So now Mike Mayock is like, you know what? You're an asshole. I don't really have to pay you this $50 million, $30 million of which is guaranteed.
Right.
Because if I cut you before Sunday, I don't have to pay you a dime.
Right.
You know what? The hell with you.
Yeah.
I'm keeping my money. I'll find somebody who actually wants to play here, show up and act like a decent human being, and come and work hard. And hell, for $50 million, I can probably find me 8 or 9 players.
And for the funniest part of all this, at this point, I thought Antonio Brown was crazy. Like we did a sports show, and I said, "Hey, the man's got CTE. There's something going on. There's some brain damage. Maybe it's not CTE, but he's definitely mentally not right." Looking at all his antics, a guy who's set to make 50 million or 30 million or whatever it is, guaranteed money, and then he acts like this and loses it all. And one minute he's like, "Yes, I'm happy to be on the Raiders." He's giving a heartfelt, like, crying with the team, like, "Yes, guys, we're in this together. We're gonna do it. We're going to the Super Bowl." You know what I'm saying? Like he's pumped. And then the next minute he's on Twitter. "I hate these guys. They're coming from ahead. They want to find me. They're going to find everybody. Yada, yada, yada. Let me go. Cut me. Trade me. Waive me. Whatever." Right? So he's going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then and somewhere in there, after they told him, like, he lost his suit with the helmet, he filed another one. Like, it was back and forth. And I'm thinking, this guy is crazy. Then literally, we talking like 20 minutes after he's cut from the Raiders, a meme comes up on my Facebook feed saying that he's going to sign with the New England Patriots. I thought it was a joke because, of course, Bill Belichick will pick up anybody, right, who's good because he's smart, right?
Bill Belichick has a history
of
picking up players who other teams cast off or said who had personality issues. They weren't team players.
Right.
They weren't this. They weren't that. But if Bill Belichick saw the talent in them,
he picks them up.
He picks them up.
Right.
And you do things the Patriots way when you come to Patriots. And that's because as the Patriots, we're guaranteeing you a shot that you could win a ring.
Right.
There are very few organizations, if any other ones, that can say you have a guaranteed shot at a ring. There are other organizations that'll say, well, we're going to do everything we can to help to get a ring. The Patriots can guarantee you that every year you will have a shot. You might run into the New York Giants and lose, but you will have a shot.
Right.
Right.
So looking at that, I the first one I saw, I thought, it's fake, right? Somebody just made that, whatever. Then I see another one. So 45 minutes is now going by, and I'm just on Google now, like, okay, what's going on? By this time,
I took a nap.
Yes,
and I woke up, and Antonio Brown was a New England Patriot.
Right. So now it's like, yes, they have offered him this much with this much guaranteed and all this, and I'm like, oh wow. So now I'm thinking, was this whole thing just maybe he's not crazy? Maybe this dude is a borderline genius.
So did he cost himself money? This year he's guaranteed $10 million. And then there's an option for $9 million.
Right.
First question is, where the hell do the New England Patriots find this cap space? Like, how do they always have the money to do this? So he's going to get between $15 and $19 million this year if he plays. And if he plays is a big question mark right now. And we'll get to that in a minute. He was guaranteed $30 million. If he went out and played game one for the Oakland Raiders, tore up his knee and never got to play a game again, he was going to get $30 million.
Right.
Now I think the max he's guaranteed is $10 million this year. So if he goes out and gets hurt at some point in this season and cannot play football anymore,
that's it.
He just cost himself $20 million.
Yeah.
And when the contract was actually signed on Monday, so you find out more details. It was $10 million guaranteed with like an option, like salary and bonuses. He can make another $9 million this year. Right. And then there's a $20 million option for next year. So essentially it's kind of the same money.
Right.
But somebody brought up a really good point. Like long term, it costs him more money because next year the Raiders moved to Las Vegas.
Right.
There's no state income tax in Nevada.
Right.
So he would
have kept more of his own money.
He would have kept 5%, 5 to 7% more of his own money as opposed to what he's keeping in New England.
Right.
So financially, did he end up better? Maybe not. We don't know.
Yeah. I mean, and it could be you also have to look at like happiness. You're going to a winning organization. You're going to somewhere where you'll be expected to do a job, but you'll also be respected.
Yes.
So I think that and you're talking about, I mean, on one hand, I'm like, what's the difference between, 28 million and 30 million? It's about the same. But then at the same time, I'm like, well, that's $2 million.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I think that overall, he's got enough money where you could say he's set for life. If he never played another game.
Because we don't know, though, right?
Yeah, we don't know what he's doing.
We don't know what he's spending his money on.
He could be dead broke. Yeah, he could be dead broke. But just
we've seen this happen before with sports athletes.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there are guys now, like, I see them and I see their stories on ESPN 30 for 30, and I'm like, how the hell did they go through $150 million?
Hey,
I would try. Don't get me wrong. If you give me $150 million, I'm gonna try like hell to spend it. I'm just gonna be real.
Right.
And apparently, you can spend $150 million in his lifetime.
Yeah.
I just
right. I haven't had the opportunity to try it.
So he signs the contract.
Right.
The next day, Brittany Taylor shows up.
Right.
Brittany Taylor has been Antonio's personal trainer for a few years.
Right.
She says he raped her, not once, not twice, but 3 times.
Right.
She has some pretty damaging text messages and emails between them that may lead one to believe. I don't know. Technically, we have to use the word allegedly because legally we can't. Because I don't know. We weren't there. We don't know
what happened. Right.
But there's some things to me that are wrong with this, and it's not on her thing. I feel like people are like, well, why didn't she call the police? And why is she pursuing civil charges, a civil case? And this is easy, actually, because it's a lot easier to prove guilt in a civil lawsuit than it is in a criminal court.
Right.
Ask O.J. Simpson and Ron Goldman.
Right. Yeah.
Ron Goldman got paid off the civil suit, even though O.J. was found not guilty.
Right.
So,
and the criminal suit took a year or something, forever. The civil suit took like a week.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, yeah.
We don't know what happened. None of us were there.
Right.
It's between Antonio and her, and it's now going to be the lawyers and the NFL and all this stuff. If he raped, I don't know that he raped her. But my problem with this is like now people are shaming this woman.
Yeah.
And this is precisely why women get raped and don't report it.
Right.
Because now they're the victim.
Right.
And the question is, yes.
Right.
Right. And now
3 times.
Well, you're the victim once by the guy who raped you. Now you're the victim by the public and
the media.
The media. So, I mean, are there things you've ever done in your job where you're like, I hate this MF in place, I'm never coming to work, and then you realize you go home and you got bills to pay?
Right.
You got to go back.
Right.
I don't know what her financial situation is. I don't know what her lifestyle is. I don't know anything about her other than she's accusing Antonio Brown of this now.
So let me tell you, for a lot of people who don't know, because at one point I was a certified personal trainer. As a personal trainer, you're in business by yourself.
Correct.
Even if you work for a gym, which most personal trainers will work for a gym, or they work on their own. Right.
And when you work for a gym, you generally don't get paid a salary, right?
Right.
You get paid
you may get sometimes you'll get like an hourly or a salary, but it's very small. It's usually not enough to live on. You have to be personal training.
Right.
So
you have to teach extra classes to make that extra $75 or whatever it is they pay.
In a lot of cases, you're only getting paid for the work that you're doing. Meaning if you're training somebody, you're getting paid. If not, you're off the clock. Right? So if you're teaching a class, you're on the clock. If not, you're off. If you're training an individual, you know what I mean? That's how it goes.
And I'm assuming that if you're training somebody like an Antonio Brown or another professional athlete, you're probably making more money than most trainers.
You're going to make, if you have someone like an Antonio Brown or another pro athlete, unless you have your own facility, like you have you probably have other personal trainers under you. You probably only train 1 or 2 people.
Yep.
Because those high elite athletes are going to take so much of your time. You're going to charge them more for that, but it's so you can dedicate basically your career for that time with that person. Because you need, if I'm training Antonio Brown, I need Antonio Brown to be the absolute best wide receiver in the world. And he needs to look at me and say, Steve is the reason that I'm the best wide receiver in the world.
And I'm going to pay him accordingly.
Right. Tim Grover, Michael Jordan's trainer. Right. The reason why Michael Jordan, or he was Michael Jordan's trainer, was because he gave Michael Jordan not just the physical skills, but the mental skills, right? When he was training Michael Jordan actually paid him to not train other people.
Right.
Because Michael Jordan didn't want other people to have the edge that he felt Grover gave him. You see? So a lot of trainers, a lot of these athletes have a similar mentality where, hey, when I need you, I need you. You're basically on call 24/7 for that person. So that is your paycheck. That is your boss. That's who you work for. In her situation, if he was to do something, let's say slightly inappropriate, of course you're going to overlook it. Of course you're going to say, you know what? This dude's paying me whatever $1,000 a month, whatever $1,000 a week, whatever it may be. He's not the greatest person, whatever. I got to eat. I got bills. I got kids to feed, right? How far does that go?
And that's the question. Right?
You see what I'm saying?
And you can't, we're all different, right?
Right.
We're all different on how much, what our personal boundaries are, right?
Right.
Like what's offensive to you may not be offensive to me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And there are things where like, I've worked a lot of years in the casinos and there are things that people have done that like, I just really want to slap the hell out of them for, right?
Right.
Like, but I can't because it's my job.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you have to learn to be a little more thick-skinned.
Right.
But my level of thick-skinnedness is different than other people's level of thick-skinnedness. You know what I mean? There are some people who come in and are just like, I'm not putting up with this, period.
Right.
You know what I mean? So then you have a choice. You either file complaints or grievances, you quit the job, you go find something else.
Right.
And this is kind of interesting because, and in a sense to personal training, and you know, because you've done personal training and worked in the casino industry, if you're in the casino industry, there's a lot of casinos in Las Vegas. Jobs are not easy to come by here. People
Right.
think, oh, there's always work in Las Vegas for casino. No, there's not.
Right.
And casinos don't hire full-time employees. They hire part-time employees. A lot of people are like personal trainers where they have 2 and 3 part-time jobs, which is, you know, the equivalent
Right.
of having 2 or 3 or 4 clients so you can make ends meet.
Right.
So do you give up this job even though those people at that particular place bother the hell out of you? Maybe not, because you might have responsibilities
Exactly.
that you have to keep. But at some point, and you and I are both at this right now with casinos,
Right.
you're like, I'm not putting up with this anymore.
Right.
You know what I mean? And at some point, again, I don't know what was going on there. I don't have a camera in the room. I wasn't there. But at some point, she was like, enough is enough.
Right.
I'm not taking this anymore. And the thing about being a personal trainer is there's no HR department for you to go to.
Exactly.
You are your own HR department, your own business, unless you work for some corporation that hires personal trainers out to, you know, and works as the middleman between that has an HR department. There's no HR department for you to go to. Who are you going to complain to?
She had, and this is what people say. So all these things happened, I think, a year or 2 years ago. They happened over a period of time. And so you think this happened once. And even she said, like, after he did this first thing, he apologized. And okay, so he did something grossly inappropriate. And
let's
then
be
he
realistic,
apologized,
he probably
right?
gave her more money. I mean, we don't know for
yeah,
sure,
right,
but
yeah, you know,
he probably upped her
something
salary.
happened where she said, okay, this is it. And then it happened again.
However, I'm going back to casinos. So, like, at the casinos, there are massage therapists,
Right.
and a lot of them are independent contractors.
Right.
And I know of massage therapists at a particular casino in town
Mhm.
who were having issues of sexual misconduct from players.
Right.
So what the massage therapist would start doing is taking notes.
Yeah.
Every time this player did something they thought was inappropriate, they
Mhm.
mark the day, the time, because casinos have cameras. They can
Right,
always
right,
go
right.
back.
They can
and
always
look.
go back, see what
Yeah.
happened.
That it happened at this day, this time, at this specific area, blah, blah, blah. And this is what happened.
Right.
This is what was said. This is, you know what I mean? And like, so-and-so and so-and-so was a witness. So now they have records.
Right.
So when it comes back down to the time, now you can go in and be like, look, these are all the things that happened to me. And by the way, I said something to X, Y, and Z person who worked at the casino,
Right.
and nothing was done.
Right.
So now you can go and you have records. So now the law is now on your side, right? Because they didn't do anything. to
Right. They didn't
protect
do
you.
anything. Exactly.
Right. So she started keeping records.
And that's what I'm about to get at is when she went, it's not like you can just go to the NFL and say, hey, one of your players did something to me, because their first instinct is we're going to protect the player.
Right.
Right. Because this is our investment. This is someone who brings in money for us. We're going to protect this person. So for her, she has to have records of something happening once, maybe twice, 3 times, however many times it happened. She can't necessarily go directly to the NFL because they're going to protect their person. Even if they were to say, you know what, let's do something about this. In most cases, they're just going to try to keep it hush hush, sweep it under the rug. They're going to try to get rid of her as quick as possible, whether they can pay her off, shut her up, whatever, right? In her situation, you want a sense of justice, okay? So she goes to a lawyer. The lawyer is going to say, we probably can't win a criminal suit because this happened XYZ time for whatever reason, but a civil suit, we can probably win. Even at this point, this is still not public.
Right.
So it's not like these things happened 3 years ago and then all of a sudden she just went public.
We
yesterday,
don't know when
you know?
she contacted the lawyer. Did she contact the lawyer after the first time this happened? He came back and said sorry.
Exactly.
And the lawyer was like, all right, if you want to if you want to continue to work for this guy moving forward, you need to track these things. Because if she was smart, she went to a lawyer after the first time, right?
Right.
And the lawyer was telling her, and people are like, well, lawyers are shady. No, that's what they do. That's what they do. That's their job.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
He's protecting his client. She hired him. He's going to do everything to protect her now. Just like if you go to criminal court and you're a drug dealer, your lawyer's job is to protect you in the court process.
Right.
So that's his job right now, right?
Right.
And there are cases that just and rape is such a hard thing to prove. And even when it is proved, like this Brock kid at Stamp, like you put this poor girl through this, and you tell this kid he gets to go to jail for 6 months, and then he gets off early.
Yeah.
And because 20, his dad said, a one-time mistake shouldn't affect the rest of his life.
Yeah,
there are people in prison who didn't have food to eat and sold drugs one time and are in prison now, and it affected the rest of their lives and their kids' lives and everybody else. So you can't tell me this bastard goes and rapes somebody and this one indiscretion.
The person he raped is going to affect her life for the rest of her life.
Exactly. And she's also got to know that the justice system failed her for the rest of her life. So if anything else happens to her or her friends or her family, she's like, no, you can't go to the justice system because they failed. They don't do it right. So if she did and the lawyer was telling her this to do, she's got pretty meticulous records from what it looks like.
Right.
Again, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know, but from what I've heard other lawyers on ESPN and Fox Sports say, like she's got some pretty damaging evidence.
Right.
For a civil suit.
Right.
Proving rape in a criminal court is a much harder thing.
Yeah.
Especially when somebody's saying it's consensual and the other person's saying no, it's rape.
And here's the biggest thing about this is, first, Antonio Brown, his first statement was basically, I guess one of his agents said that basically he said he didn't do anything and nothing happened and this and that.
Then it became
well, we did have consensual sex. So now, in my mind, I'm like, well, wait a minute, bro. First you said nothing happened. Now you're saying, it was consensual.
It's the Bill Clinton defense, right?
Right?
I did not have this sex with this woman. Wait. What's your definition of sex?
Right. Right. So either way, we may never know the absolute truth on exactly what happened, but it's definitely a situation that we got to stop victim blaming. We have to stop jumping to the conclusion of, this woman is just a money grab. She just wants money. XYZ. Like sometimes, and sadly enough, some of our heroes and some of the people we look up to and love, they're bad people. He's great at football. Doesn't mean he's a great person. And I'm not saying he's guilty or innocent.
I'm glad you said that because I have this whole theory in life that we should stop giving people a pass because of their job.
Yeah.
Like giving, this guy's a veteran. Just because you're a veteran doesn't, people are going to hate me for this comment. So my email address is thenegroPlease@gmail.com. So please feel free to write in. Just because you're a veteran doesn't make you a good person.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that you didn't do things wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So because he's a football player doesn't make him a good person.
Exactly.
In fact, he might have already shown us to the contrary that he's not a good person.
I mean, he's definitely shown us with his whole fiasco with the Raiders that he's got some tricks up his sleeve.
Yes.
At minimum. You know what I mean? Whether he's a good person or a bad person, I don't know. I don't know him personally. I don't know if he's capable of doing something like this or not. Based on what she said, I thought, like, I read some of her comments and I thought personally, like, man, I would not have done that. Like, that's kind of weird, but whatever, man. Like, the dude plays a sport where you get into a car accident every week. I mean, who am I to judge? You know what I'm saying? He's also a millionaire. And when people go from poverty to having a lot of money or being middle class to having a ton of money, life changes for them. Things are different. Things they can get away with, things they can do, things they can say, places they can go are all different.
Yeah. But money doesn't make you a different person. It just makes you more of what you were.
And I would agree with that 100%.
I I don't even think so. This is like the biggest story on all the sports channels, but I don't think this is the biggest news story of the week.
No.
To me, the biggest news story of the week comes out of California.
Yes.
State of California, the state assembly approved this 73-0. The state senate approved it 39-0. Governor
Undefeated.
Newsom, we're waiting for him to sign this into law, and it'll become effective January 1st, 2023. This law says that college athletes in the state of California are allowed to go out and seek endorsements and have endorsement deals. They cannot be paid by the college to play.
Right.
However, you can get an endorsement deal.
This has been my biggest beef with college sports my entire life.
This is a game changer.
And this, when I read this, I just like,
You want to do a dance?
yes,
Yes. I mean, like, I was there. Like,
I was like, yes.
this is
Finally.
a huge game changer.
Because this is what I wanted. So the argument has always been, well, if the college pays the athlete, they're no longer student athletes or they're no longer amateur athletes. But my problem has been, it's not that they're paying them or not paying them. They're not allowing them to have an outside source of income.
That's so like, okay, so
Right.
a lot of people don't understand this though, right? Because when you are a college athlete, you are required so much time dedicated to that sport.
Right.
Finding a way to provide for you outside of school, between taking classes, because you have to maintain the grade average.
Full-time college courses,
Right. Full-time college
which is a
courses.
job, 40
Right.
hours a week.
Plus, now you got to be at practice, off-season practice,
Right.
workout drills. You got to stay in shape all year long. It doesn't matter what the
Traveling
sport.
with the team.
Yes.
Yep.
It doesn't matter what the sport is. Yes, you get food. Yes, you're getting your college free, which is a whole other thing. Because anytime you're doing something to get something, it's not free.
Right.
You
Right. Yeah, exactly.
you are playing football to get an education. That's not free. Because
Right.
if you stop playing football, the education doesn't stay there.
Exactly.
So, again, you cannot. The college, USC and UCLA cannot pay you to come to college. All right.
Right.
But if you go to college at UCLA and you're the quarterback, Dick's Chevrolet down the street
Mm-hmm.
can give you an endorsement. You can be on Dick's Chevrolet billboards.
Yep.
Joe Blow, quarterback from UCLA, drives one of our trucks. They can
Yep.
give you a truck to drive
Yes.
because that's an endorsement deal. They
Right.
can give you $3,000 a month to be on their billboards or whatever their thing is.
Right.
This is 100% against everything the NCAA says.
This was the
Wait,
response.
there's one more. Wait, there's
Go
one more
ahead.
kick to this.
Go ahead.
If you do accept endorsements, by law, you cannot lose your scholarship
Right. And see,
for that reason. Like,
this has always been my argument with people who say, well, they get they get an education because I paid $100,000 to go to that college and they are playing sports and they get that same education
you
for
should have
free.
learned how to play a sport.
And that's the first argument is, well, why didn't you play a sport? My second is, why does college cost so much? Why
Only in
did
this
you
country.
pay $100,000?
Only in this country.
That doesn't make sense.
This is the only country
Right?
where college costs money
And
like
so
that.
now, so here's my thing when I always said this is slavery. They go, no, it's not. I'm like, well, wait a minute. Slaves got what? Food and shelter? And they basically got on-the-job training. They learned farming or housekeeping. Like, you could argue that the slaves got an education or they got some sort of
They
training.
got a trade skill.
They got a trade. They learned a skill.
Yeah.
Because they weren't paid cash, right?
Right.
And people go, well, the college doesn't own you. Well, if I can't make money somewhere else, yes, they do. Do you not understand how big making money is in the realm of the planet we live on? It is everything.
I hate the NCAA as an organization because I think they're hypocritical and I don't think they're trustworthy, right? Like,
Not at all. Not
I
at
feel
all.
like they investigate what they want to investigate. And for me, the biggest example is Penn State.
Mm-hmm.
We know what
yeah.
happened at Penn State.
Yeah.
There's no arguing. Penn State didn't allegedly do anything. They did it.
Yeah.
We know. Feel free, Quan. You're shaking over, you're nodding your head over there. Like, we know what Penn State did. All right. We know they allowed these children to be molested.
Right.
And did nothing but turn their back. We know people got fired for this.
Yep. And they
You
built, they
took away-
built a statue of the guy who did it.
Yes. You took away all their wins and be like, you know what? It's not fair to the other kids. We're going to give them back their wins. We're going to reinstate them. We're going to take them. No.
Right.
No.
Right.
SMU cheated by paying players, and how is paying players worse than allowing somebody to molest children? I don't know what like if you think that paying players is worse than molesting children, we got a whole nother set of issues here for you, right?
Right.
Like we might want to come check your basement, right? Like
so in the NCAA, their response to the bill in California is they said that it's unconstitutional and harmful.
What's unconstitutional about free enterprise and capitalism in America?
Exactly.
Like, this is America.
The entire Constitution is based on it.
Right.
Like, what are you talking about? Like, the word freedom. Like,
Right,
like
like-
there's America, then there's America, then there's freedom. Like,
right. Doesn't it make sense? And then the argument is this, and I caught a little bit of Stephen A. Smith before I came here today, and one of the arguments somebody in the NCAA was trying to make, well, it's not fair if a kid goes to like USC, it's not fair to a kid who goes to like Lehigh because he's not going to get the same type of endorsements. Endorsements aren't equal.
Right.
Nike doesn't give the same endorsement to a guy who's fourth off the bench as they do LeBron James.
Right.
You earn that endorsement. Endorsements are based on ability. Now, does that mean the kid at Lehigh is not going to get endorsements? Of course he is, because there's going to be local companies that are willing to endorse him. And yes, something that people don't really understand is that as college athletes, the college gets money from Nike, Adidas, Under Armour.
Yes,
I mean,
they're literally called Nike schools or Adidas schools because those are the schools that those brands sponsor.
Right.
Right.
So the school is accepting endorsement money, but you can't.
Right.
How does that make any sense?
See, that's the thing. They
and
talk
you don't
about,
get any of that endorsement money.
when we talk about just college football by itself, it's $100 million, probably even $1 billion business.
Yes.
And the people who we're watching, the people who are responsible for that, receive nothing. They don't get a cut.
Yes.
They don't get anything from ticket sales.
Remember, our Las Vegas boy Ed O'Bannon had to sue. Was it EA Sports he sued, or one of the video game companies, because they used his likeness
Right.
in a video game? It wasn't him, but they used all of his stats, same height, same everything from his college days, and he was like, "Whoa,
yeah,
you can't do that because that's me." And he eventually won the suit.
Right.
And then there's appeal. I don't know. Actually, I don't know where the suit is right now.
You can even look at pro athletes where every like NBA Live or NBA 2K up to a certain point, if you got the Chicago Bulls, Michael Jordan was not in the game.
Right.
It was player number 23, and he was some guy like off the bench, and you had to like put his name on it or put stats in or whatever. But he pretty much played like Michael Jordan. Sometimes in some games his number was like 22 or 24.
Right.
But he played like Michael Jordan, but it was because Michael Jordan, for whatever reason, wasn't part of that contract.
Right.
And he was the biggest name in basketball.
But there's a lot of college players that got paid off of that college or that video game suit. We actually had somebody in here last night saying he got paid. He played at UNLV, and he got a check.
Right.
That's good.
As they should. And that's the thing. Like, yeah, he should have. So it's nothing new. And here's the thing. If you put this same aspect of being paid and not paid into any other facet of life, you would say it's not fair.
Right.
The only argument that anybody ever comes up with is, oh, well, they get an education. Like, I get an education at every job I've ever worked. I'm learning how to do a new thing,
right?
And I'm getting paid to do it. It makes no sense. I'm so sick of the NCAA basically limiting these players in the most vulnerable part of their life between 18 years old and probably 22 years old, when you have the biggest decisions of your future to make, and you have to do them all at this time where you say, you know what, you get no representation and you cannot be paid.
I think this does a couple things too. It takes the shadiness. Well, first of all, it's going to take the shadiness out of the deals, right? Because like the Reggie Bush deal that got USC in trouble, they can't be punished for that anymore, right?
Right.
Because he can legally now go and get an endorsement, right? He's not signing with an agent. He's got somebody who worked out a deal for him, right?
It's going to make legal things that players are already doing right now,
right? And it's going to take the shadiness out of it.
Exactly.
You have to be a complete moron to not believe that these things are happening anyway, right?
Right.
Right. Like kids just don't go to college. I grew up playing football in Nebraska. Everybody played football in Nebraska. with the exception of me, being a Cornhusker was a big deal. I couldn't stand the school. I didn't want to be a Cornhusker.
Yeah.
And I made it known that I didn't want to play for the University of Nebraska. I didn't like Tom Osborne. I didn't like anything about the school. Because before I went there, I grew up on the West Coast, so I was a big West Coast football fan.
Right.
I didn't like the style that they played or whatever. I have relatives who went to the University of Nebraska. If you think that they just went to Nebraska because it was the only school to give them opportunities, you'd be out of your mind.
Yeah.
They went to Nebraska because of what Nebraska offered them.
Yeah.
Nebraska never went under penalty for anything. And if you don't think that this is 20 years later and that stuff is still going on, I'll never forget, there's a quarterback in Nebraska. He's probably one of the most famous quarterbacks Nebraska ever had. I'll never forget, this kid came from the hood, broke as hell, driving around a brand new T-top Camaro or Corvette around campus. Like, where the hell did he get that? His mama couldn't afford that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
what I mean, think about all the pro athletes who got the bag when they went to college. It's a black bag, it's cash in it.
Yep.
Or their parents got a gift.
Yeah.
From some random person.
Parents got jobs they weren't qualified for.
Cam Newton's dad or something got a mysterious like $300,000 gift or something.
Yeah,
LeBron James' mom got a Hummer. He didn't even go to college.
Right.
But they were still like, you know, what's the deal with him being in high school and his mom's got this brand new Hummer when he's basically from Akron, when nobody in Akron can afford a Hummer.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's look over time at all the times that basically what they're now making legal is something that's just been happening. But
and you've been punishing kids for it.
Has been punishing them for it.
Now you just can't punish them for it.
Now they
in
can't.
California.
Right.
And here's what's going to happen, in my opinion. Other states will soon follow suit, especially SEC states. And the reason being is because now if you're a top 5 high school quarterback in the country, where are you going to college? Yeah. Are you going to USC or UCLA?
Hey, this
where you can go and they were like, look, you know, it's going to be well, you know, we don't arrange endorsements, but you can accept endorsements here at our schools.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And,
right?
You know, like our last quarterback got $100,000 a year. I'm just, you know, like, I don't know what your deal is.
I mean, look.
But our last quarterback got $100,000.
Even if you don't go to the league, if something happens, you know, you'll have a nice little amount of cash.
Right.
When you go to be a social worker or whatever it is your major is. You know what I mean? And you played football, and then that will probably continue.
Yes.
Because imagine somebody like Matt Leinart, right?
Yes.
Went to USC. Huge. Was supposed to go big in the draft, right? He gets drafted. He plays a couple years, not so great, and now he's off doing whatever, right? Is he still in the NFL?
No, he's on ESPN. He's really good.
Right.
He's this is his first year. Oh no, wait, I'm thinking about Mark Sanchez, the other USC quarterback.
The other one, right?
Yeah.
So think about a Matt Leinart, right? Yeah. You just made $150,000 in just endorsements from playing college football, right? You go to the league, and they want to give you the $2 million or whatever it is, the rookie contract is $2 million a season or whatever, and then all of a sudden you drop. You were supposed to go top 10 or top 5. Now all of a sudden you're 17, or you drop to the second round. Now you got options.
Right.
It's like, well, wait a minute. In this small town where I grew up, they're still offering me endorsement deals.
Yep.
I could probably keep getting endorsement deals, probably get a job at the college that's probably going to be a 6-figure job, playing, you know, coaching or quarterback coach, lineman coach, whatever, something there.
Professor of classes nobody wants to people take so they can get a degree.
Where I don't have to bounce around in the NFL at a 3rd-string quarterback. Yeah. You understand? Like all of a sudden you have options. Yeah. Will I still take the NFL gig? Probably. Yeah. You know, that's what you've been working for, probably. But now you have a negotiating tool under your belt. Exactly. Because you've been legally getting money and you pretty much can make a career off of what you've already been doing.
Is the rush to come out of school a big deal anymore? Because like kids come out of school now because they need the money to take care of their family, right? Can you spend that extra year in school? And as of right now, they haven't put a cap, as far as I could read in any of the articles, on how much you can make as an endorsement. But let's say you are Matt Leinart, who won a national championship, right? Right. What's his endorsement worth the next year?
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
He went from $100,000 a year endorsement to he's got to be $500,000 a year, right? Right. If he knows college athletes know when they need that extra year, right?
Right.
But they can't risk it because they need the money, and they can't risk getting hurt and not making the money. But look, I know you're going to make $4 million in the NFL, or $2.3 million, whatever the rookie scale is set in the NFL, right? Based on where you're slotted. So if you're going to be a 3rd round draft pick, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you're not a top 7 quarterback in the country, right? So you think you're not going to get drafted till the 3rd round, but you go to UCLA, Stanford, Cal, and somebody says, you know what? Come back for 1 more year, learn some more, and we're going to give you $500,000 as an endorsement deal. Are you rushing to get the NFL anymore?
Nope.
Because you're only going to make $500 in the league minimum, and $500K in the league minimum in the NFL anyway, right?
Right.
So why not take that extra year, learn more? Your family's going to be taken care of, right? Because you've got $500,000 now.
Think about this, and not just football. Think about basketball. How many players are, in a sense, in a rush to get into the league when they may not be ready?
Yes. Oh, we see this all the time.
All the time.
All the time.
Right? And now, or you have someone. I don't think Zion would have ever even gone to college if he didn't have to. So they're getting rid of the one and done rule, which also kind of changes something. Right. But let's just use him as an example. And let's say, they lose in the playoffs of the tournament, right? They don't win. And one of the statements he made right when that happened was something along the lines of he wants to play another year to try to win that championship, right? Do you think that his thinking and decision making could possibly be a little bit different if he's getting 500,000 endorsements while he's playing?
Well, here's the deal. So
we know
what he signed with Nike after, right?
Right.
What if Nike
offers him that deal while he's in college?
Right.
You see?
You know what? You go ahead and play 1 more year in college, but we're going to give you this $40 million anyway, or $20 million anyway.
And for him in particular, I don't think he necessarily would stay because he knows, look, I'm going first.
Right.
I'm getting drafted. Period. But then you also have these players who are like, you know what? I don't want to play in New Orleans, or I don't want to play in XYZ school, or I don't want to play here, but I can get 500,000 to stay in college 1 more year and have a better shot at landing somewhere else I might want to go to.
100%.
How many players, maybe top 10 draft picks, right? Maybe even top 20, have that same maybe endorsement wherever they're playing.
This is a game changer.
It changes the game.
The NBA should love this rule, and so should college basketball, because what this will do, in my opinion, is it'll stop these guys from skipping college basketball and going overseas to play for a year.
Yeah, that's huge.
Because are you going to go overseas and play for 100,000 when you can go to a school, go to Cal State Long Beach? Yeah. You're going to be the superstar. You're going to get a $200,000 endorsement or a $50,000 endorsement to play your 1 year of college ball.
Right.
And then you can go to the NBA.
Exactly.
I think this helps basketball in the one and done aspect because it'll keep those kids in college. Where it hurts everybody else is that California is the only place that has this law now, right?
Yeah.
And if you're recruiting in California, like college coaches in California are gotta be slobbing at the mouth right now. Like they got foam like running, and SEC guys and Big Ten guys and ACC guys are like, no.
Yeah, it's only a matter of time, I think, before other states start to pick it up.
They have to,
because once California does it, other states are going to do it. We all know that money gets laws changed, and colleges, especially big colleges, have money.
Yes.
So if your state has a big college in it, you're probably going to get a law like this or a similar law very soon. The NCAA will hate it, but everyone else will love it and benefit from it.
Yes. I've always felt like the NCAA is on its way out anyway, and I've just been waiting for one major conference to be like, you know what, we're done with you guys. Yeah. Once somebody succeeded, I think everybody else would follow suit.
Yeah.
Because the laws they make are so antiquated and arbitrary that, like, there's no, I can't think of this kid's name. Like, I think he's from Maryland. I just thought about this now, otherwise I looked up before the show started. He was denied the 1 year exemption because his mother died, and he had some family stuff to take care of, and he asked for that exemption so he could not play 1 year and then come back and play, and they denied him the exemption.
Yeah.
But like other cases that you've seen throughout the last 18 months, they've granted these people this request, and apparently his request was denied on a technicality, like a date issue or something like that.
Yeah.
And if he's in a we're giving the NCAA control over these young people's lives.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like they get to make a life choice for this kid, and it's his life. It's his family.
Right.
Who's to say that it's not better for him, his mental health, to take a year off?
Right.
To go take care of the things his family needs to take care of. The kid's mother's died. He's grieving. And you're going to add more to that?
Yeah.
That doesn't work for me.
Exactly.
All right, we're going to add a new subject here, a new segment. It's called Stop It! Things that we think society, and for me, some of these are especially black people, we should just stop doing. My first stop it subject is pants sagging. Like pants sagging, like most fashion trends last 2 to 3 years and they're out. This has been going on for like 30 plus years now. Why are we still doing it?
You know, Eazy-E was sagging. Rest in peace.
Yeah, that was 30 years ago.
Yeah. Literally like 31, 32 years ago. And I still remember the song Easy Does It. When he's like, I wear my pants like this for easy access, baby. Like,
which is exactly why it was designed for prison, like easy access. So you're right.
Right.
You did exactly what they wanted you to do.
And it's something, it was a trend. I grew up around that time and I did it as a youngster. And we had baggy clothes and it made sense to sag because your clothes were baggy. And, you know, just like every other trend, fashion evolves, things change. But for some reason, pulling your pants up has not. We had baggy clothes and sag. I guess it made sense. I know it absolutely does not make sense to have one of the tightest jeans possible.
and then walking around pulling them up.
Yeah. And here's the thing, like, not only are you sagging, but your pants still ain't long enough. Like they not even how are you sagging and your pants still stop like above your ankles? I don't understand it. What is it accomplishing for you? It has to be hard to move. Especially you have one of the tightest jeans in the world that can't be comfortable.
And the thing is like 90% of the people are like, why are you doing that? Like it's a small group of people. Yeah. And unfortunately, it's still us, the black folks that are doing it. Once in a while, you'll see a white kid, but the majority, like, why? Like, how do you go in a church dress like that? I just don't understand. Like,
and I see people, I mean, obviously people prepare for this. I've seen people with, you know, they obviously have like basketball shorts and they're sagging. But the sickest part is I was in the airport and I see a guy sagging and his shirt, you know, stops slightly below his belly button. His pants are below his butt cheeks. And I'm literally watching this dude walk around with his underwear showing. And at some point, it's just like.
But you'll get mad if you see a woman breastfeeding in a
right. You know,
restaurant.
I mean, you know, I see this and I'm like,
I don't get it.
It's just gross.
Another thing I think we should stop doing.
Stop.
Stop with these exotic flavor fruits or cupcakes and chips and stuff like that. I don't know if this is true or not, but I saw this article that says Hostess is looking at putting out a peanut butter pickle Twinkie. Why? Like, how high are you that you're just like, I mean, if you can get high and get a job, like I will apply for this job, right? Where I can just sit around the Hostess corporate offices going, dude, you don't be the shit. Like we had these peanut butter and pickle Twinkies. No, picture this. Oh my God, that's so bad. Like, no, come on. Like stop with the exotic flavors.
You know, surprising to some, but in my life, I have been high before. I know that's a shock. However, I've never in my life, sober, high, or anywhere in between, thought, you know what it tastes good right now? Peanut butter and pickles. How? How?
Jalapeno onion M&M. No, it just doesn't make sense. Like, look, just stop. I just want I'm gonna be basic and just let me have my peanut M&Ms, like in my Twinkies, like. And the chocolate covered Twinkies.
And
I can deal with
get some things like instead of peanut M&Ms, they had like these caramel M&Ms, which were actually
bomb,
good, right? You know what I mean? So I get like trying some new things, but sometimes it's just, you know, I'm looking at the picture of the pickle and peanut butter Twinkie, and it looks disgusting. I'm just like, how do you expect anybody even want to try that? Like, that has to be such a small and like niche market that I don't see it lasting long, even if they do come out with it. I don't get it. That's something that definitely needs to stop.
This is a really big pet peeve of mine. Because I have children. I have 5 children. You have 3 daughters. When people say, "Oh, I don't have kids, but I have my fur babies," stop equating pets to children. First of all, it's disrespectful to women who went through labor and carry children for 9 months. You
Yeah.
took the shortcut out and didn't do that. The things that parents have to go through for their children is not even close to equatable to what pet owners do for their pets. I don't care how much you love your pet, how much food you feed him, how many little clothes you buy him. It is not the same as caring for a young human being for 18 to 30 for the rest of their lives.
You know,
like, you cannot equate those two things. Stop.
we had this conversation in the sports chat group the other day, and don't get me wrong, I tell you this, I have dogs. I love my dogs. If you try to attack my dogs, I will mess you up. Like, we're gonna fight. You don't mess with my dogs. But if you mess with my kids, I will kill you. I'll kill your kids. I'll kill your family. It's not close.
It's like Taken, right?
Yeah.
I will come for you and kill you all. Like,
Right,
it's not even close.
Like,
if you had to choose between your dog and another human being that you didn't know,
right.
I would assume you were going to save the human life over it's a pet. It's an animal.
Right.
And I love dogs. I'm not a cat person, but I love dogs. My kids have had animals and pets their entire lives. At one point we had, like, damn near Zoom. We had snakes, birds, lizards, dogs, cats, like everything in our house.
Right.
But never would I ever take a pet's life over a human being's life. And equating the two is partly, I think, part of the reason that's wrong with our society now is because we don't value human life anymore.
And that's, I agree with that. It's very sick. You know, I had an issue where my dog had something stuck in her eye. I don't know. She ran and jumped in a bush or something, and it was like a thorn in her eye. And she's rolling around crying, and she can't get it out. And I take her to the vet, and the vet's like, yeah, you know, we're going to have to put her to sleep and blah, blah, blah. And it's $400. And I'm like, ugh, you know what I mean? But of course I pay it. This is my dog. I care about the dog. I nursed this dog for like the next 2 weeks.
That's a $20,000 bill, by the way, if it happens to your
if it
kid.
happens to a human. You know what I mean?
Right.
So dog's got a cone on her head for the next, 2 weeks, and I'm nursing the dog, got to make sure she takes this medicine. I care about this dog. I still have the same dog right now. The other, like 2 weeks ago, her stomach was bloated, and I'm thinking, oh man, we're gonna have to go to the vet again. But maybe she's sick and it could pass. It could be serious, but it could pass. I'll give it a day. The next day, she's moving around a lot better. She's fine. Before that day, I was worried about my dog. So don't get this confused. I care about my animals. I do. I love them. I've had these dogs for years. My kids love them. But it's not even comparable to the love I have for my children. 2 of my daughters have sickle cell. My oldest, at one point, the way we found out she had sickle cell was she had a crisis. We were in the hospital for a month. The range of emotions and the things I felt about my daughter being sick and plenty of times her almost dying. And even now, when they tell me they have any kind of pain, the way I feel about that is not even close. Like, it's not comparable. I can go out of town, leave my dogs in the backyard with food and water and come back. They will be fine.
Yep.
I have my sister or something. She'll come check on them, make sure they still got food and water. And I don't know, you haven't just croaked over and died for some reason. You can't leave your kids at home.
No, you can't.
Until they're like 15 or 16, and then they still really can't be trusted. Like, you can't leave them at home for days at a time unattended.
No,
It's
like, you
still not
can't do
the
this.
same.
Yeah.
Not at all.
So here's my next stop it, but then we're going to go into what another new segment is called a Huffism. My next stop it is stop announcing every time somebody comes out as gay. I feel like, in my opinion, I don't think people care anymore. Like, I feel like society is much more accepting. Every time a major celebrity comes out, oh, this celebrity's gay, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, I don't care. Like, I'm actually more surprised when I find out that people aren't gay than I am when I find out that they are gay. Right? Like, I just like, okay, great. And honestly, it's not my business. I don't really care how you live your life, right?
I think that's the biggest thing about it is, for straight people, sex for the most part is private.
Yeah.
Like, most mature adults don't really go around being like, yeah, I had sex last night, and me and this woman, and me and that. Like, you do your thing, whatever. It doesn't really come up in conversation unless it's private conversation with probably somebody really close to you. Right. Unless you're just an inappropriate person and just want everybody to know what you're doing. Right? So most people to me, sex is private. Who you have sex with, how often you do it, I don't care. I don't want to know. I've got my own wife who, hey, we got our thing, and we try to keep it as private as possible. You know what I mean? Like, and it's, I mean, goodness.
So you hide the baby oil in the house, right? So
yeah, you know what I mean? Like, we got, we got a little stash, and we got kids, man. They can't just, be stumbling across stuff. They ask too many questions.
So this leads me to this is a Huffism. In a Huffism, I got this from you because we were talking off mic one day when we were doing a production meeting before we come to the show about how somebody had made it. We were talking about a specific subject, and you were on side A of this subject.
Right.
And then somebody from side B made a point, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, damn. So I don't know where I'm at right now. And so, and in my opinion, and people are going to hate me for this too, again, it's thenegroplease@gmail.com for all your hate emails. Only educated people can have Huffisms. People who are on the far right and far left of any subject aren't capable of a Huffism. And the Huffism is this. So I thought that we should have stopped announcing when celebrities are gay because nobody cares anymore.
Right.
I was out with some friends of mine, and one of them was gay, and I was telling him that that this was gonna be a subject on the show, and he told me I was wrong. As a white gay male, he told me I was wrong.
Okay.
And I said, why is that? He said, because there are still people in middle of America who live in small towns or in the Bible Belt who believe that it's not okay for them to be gay.
Okay.
And when they see somebody of note come out and say, I'm gay, whether it's right or not, it gives them validation for the way they feel.
Okay.
So now I don't know where I'm at on the subject because originally I was like, okay, no, you shouldn't do this because, the only people it gives credence to is homophobes because it gives them a reason to hate this particular person now.
Right.
But he was like, for as much as it gives a homophobe a reason to hate, it gives some other kid who's 17, 18, maybe 25 years old, the insight and the ability to be like, oh, it's okay to be me.
Right.
And that's really, really hard because we've all heard horror stories of people coming out as gay or whatever to their families and the stuff they've gone through. Right. And they know, we all know our parents better than other people do, right? You know what your parents will and will not accept.
Right.
You know what I mean? There are black kids who can't bring white girlfriends or white boyfriend home.
Right.
They can't do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There are kids who are white kids who are friends with black kids and Latinos and don't bring them around their house because they're afraid their parents are going to say something inappropriate.
Right.
It happens. So now by doing this, we're telling those kids it's okay to be you. And then, of course, I'm sure there's going to be some Bible wagging, fear-mongering homophobes saying it's not okay to be you. But in reality, isn't it okay to be you? I mean, that's like all you're here for, right? Is to be you.
And that is wherein lies the argument, where you have some people who get down to the root of a problem or the base of it, or not even necessarily to call it a problem, but the basis of their belief, right?
Right.
So if a person ultimately believes that being gay is wrong, then there is no understanding or in between. They'll always go back to that basis.
Right. That's why
what, this is wrong. And it doesn't matter what your reasons is. It doesn't matter what your scale is. To them, that's just a gray area because it's black and white.
Right. And that's why I feel like you have to be open-minded and educated, because I feel like if you're educated, and then again, thenegroplease@gmail.com for all your hate mail. If you're educated, you can listen to both sides of an argument and make your own opinion.
Right.
Uneducated people won't listen to the other side.
Right.
And that's why I call it Huffisms, because it was you're the first one that brought it to me. And I've had these things in my life where I'm like, ooh, snap. Like, maybe I'm wrong. You know what I mean? And I don't know if I'm right or wrong in the way I believe something.
Right.
And so right now, I don't know if people should start coming out again, or if we should, because as much as it doesn't benefit some, I feel like my friend is right. There's a legit benefit for others.
But I think that one of the problems that we have, which is kind of what the far left or the far right or extremely liberal, extremely conservative, part of the problem that they have is understanding things on a case-by-case basis.
100%.
And I
Not
feel like
everything is black and white. And
exactly. And I feel like with major topics, like you could say, like, you know, gay rights issues, abortion, things about race. Everything is not just a blanket covering. I mean, if you can even look in the Bible and say, well, look, there were these situations were pretty much the same, but God made different decisions,
right?
Because of something underlying or something that had to do with something else that was going on. So there are some times where a celebrity who may be gay, they went through certain things. Yeah, they should probably come out and let people know. There are other times where it just kind of seems like an attention grab. And it's like, you know what, bro, keep it to yourself. We really don't care.
Right.
That has nothing to do with what's going on. Is it relevant to what's happening right now? You see, there are certain things like I feel like at the basis, abortion is wrong because I believe it's murder. But then I've heard cases where people say, it made me, yeah, you know what I mean?
It carry this baby.
It made me think like, you know what? I think this is a decision that she has to make. And she should be allowed to make a decision because God gave us the right to make decisions. You see? So there are certain things where if I get to vote, yeah, I'm going to vote a certain way. But if you vote a certain way, whether I agree or not, hey, I understand and you're allowed to, you know? So
as Dave Chappelle says, if you have a dick, you need to shut up on this one.
There you go. Like, yeah, sometimes you just got to shut up. Like that's the right answer. Be quiet. Don't get involved. Mind your business. Like,
this has been Negro Please. We thank you guys for listening. I'm Dallas Scott. He's Hollywood Huff. We will be back next week. All things social media. You can find us on the Negro Please.